We are now live, and welcome, Val. Today we have a lovely guest speaker. Her name is Val, and she's a life coach and a mindset coach. And we are going to talk today about self-confidence, a very important topic that some people may think, not really relevant to me, but really and truly it underpins how we see ourselves and how we show up in the world. Therefore, affecting what we bring into our day-to-day experiences. So a good topic for us to dive into. Val, welcome. How are you?
Hello, how are you?
Hi.
Thank you for having me.
An absolute pleasure.
Very happy to talk about this amazing topic. It's my favorite topic, self-confidence, with you today. I think that we all need to be more self-confident, and everyone can become more self-confident.
I love that. So can you tell us a little bit about who you are, a little bit about your background and how you got into this work?
Yes, of course. So I am French. I live in Spain. I used to work in luxury hospitality for many years. And it's when I realized that even when people have everything on paper to be happy, sometimes they still feel that something is missing.
Yeah.
And I started coaching people because people open up very easily with me. So I started coaching people like this, and I started coaching my team. And I got into coaching. I did a few training. My coaching is based on science. It's no fluff, very based on science approach. And I coach about their mindset, corporate leaders and entrepreneurs that they want their life to be as amazing that it looks like.
Very good. Okay, so let's dive right in. Can you talk to us about what self-confidence is?
So self-confidence is the ability to trust yourself, your capacities, and your judgment. It's like a feeling of self-assurance that comes from an appreciation of your abilities and qualities. For me, it's the belief that you can successfully handle any challenges. It's the belief that whatever happens in my life, I can deal with it with no problem. And one thing that is very important to know is that self-confidence is a skill. It's not a personality trait. It's not something that you have or you have not, or you are born with or not. It's really something that you can learn. You can also lose it, but you can regain it. This is the good news.
Okay.
So yes.
Yeah, it's a skill that you can learn. What will impact self-confidence or your ability to become more confident?
What impacts our self-confidence? It's obviously our childhood, event that can happen in our childhood, the way that we have been educated by our parents or teachers, even in life, people, friends, family, trauma, media, the work environment also can have consequences on our self-confidence.
Okay, so a little bit of because I know there are quite a lot of moms who might be listening to this. Maybe not your niche area, but say someone like a parent, for example, with children. What are some of the things that they can do to help build the confidence of their child, which again will help to impact their confidence because they'll see their children flourishing and growing? So what are a couple of tips around helping to support children to have better self-confidence?
The most important thing is to be confident yourself. So because kids learn by example. So if you are self-confident, your kids will be more easily self-confident than not. And then it's reassurance of the kids. It's making them believe in their abilities, making them believe in their capacities, and really help them to manage their thoughts and to have a positive self-talk and thought about themselves.
I like that. So leading by example. So you mentioned before self-confidence is the ability to sort of adapt to what's happening in life, which ties in very closely to resilience. How do the two work in tandem?
They They basically go together. Resilience is the ability to bounce back from challenges in life. So they are correlated, because the more self-confident you are, and the meaning the more you believe that you can deal with anything happening in your life, the easier you will have resilience, that it's bouncing back from those challenges. And then this resilience will reinforce your self-confidence. So it's like a circle.
Very good. So going through stressful circumstances can impact your self-confidence, but it can help you to become more resilient. So how can we become more self-confident in times where we're undergoing masses of stress and we feel like this is too much, I'm not doing really well in any one particular area, or there may be feelings of overwhelm? What can you do to help to build self-confidence in times of stress?
So I think that there is something that it's very important to remember. It's that most of the time, the worst that can happen when we stress about something, the worst that can happen, it's a negative feeling. And a negative feeling at the end is just a vibration in the body, and we can perfectly deal with it. It's not nice. It's not a pleasant moment, but we can deal with it. We won't die. It's our brain making us think that we're gonna die because it's something that it's not pleasant, but we won't die. And there is a tip that I give to my clients is, imagine the worst case scenario, the worst one of the situation. You will see that you can normally deal with it because it's not life and death. And after, spend as much time to imagine the best case scenario. So you train your brain to not get into the spiraling down negative thoughts about what could happen and in a stressful scenario, and it really helps to build your self-confidence.
I like that. So I've heard, looking at the worst case scenario before, and because that's usually what can make you feel overwhelmed, is trying to understand or trying to, not really being clear about what the worst case scenario is. So you're worrying and you're not sort of bringing that worry to like one focal point. But when you envisage the worst case scenario, then what I usually do is say, okay, this is the worst thing that can happen. And these are 3 things that I can do when those things happen to sort of put me in a better position. But I've never flipped it to what's the best case scenario. And, talking about vibration and energy, you're sort of, you are balancing out the energy in a way and bringing yourself to a nice state of calm. So I really like that. And then that will help you to sort of feel like you're more in control of the situation and you've got choices in either scenario. So what are your self-confidence hacks? Like, what do you do personally to help build your self-confidence on a daily basis?
Building a solid self-confidence, it's really a process, but there is some tips. I have a guide that explains you how to boost your self-confidence in less than 10 minutes, but there is also other tips, because maybe you need feel self-confident in 10 minutes when you have a meeting with your boss or a date with someone that you like. So I wrote a guide about that. But to build really the foundation of self-confidence, it's first of all, identify your inner critic.
Okay.
Give it a name so you can talk back to your inner critic.
Okay. That's a good one.
Your self-talk, being really aware of your self-talk, having a positive self-talk, and being able to stop when you are saying to yourself things that you wouldn't say to your best friend. Creating some, I don't really like the word affirmation, but it's kind of affirmation. It's choosing on purpose which thought that you're gonna have and repeat to yourself those thoughts.
Why don't you like affirmations? Why don't you like that word?
Because if your brain sometimes don't believe affirmation, and there is a process to really make affirmation very working for yourself. It's to choose ladder thoughts, because, for example, if you say, if you feel that you are not confident and you are repeating yourself all day, I'm super self-confident, I'm super self-confident, your brain going to freak out and say, I don't believe it. It's not true. But if you tell to your brain, I decided I can be more self-confident every day. Every day I feel a little bit more self-confident. Your brain will believe it. So it will be much easier. So it's for that affirmation, people think that it's like, I'm a millionaire and you will feel like a millionaire, or I am loved when you feel that you are not lovable. Normally the brain don't get it.
Changing. Okay, I like that. It's rephrasing those thoughts into, or those beliefs that you want to embed into your system, into practical, realistic bites. So not sort of like going for the end result straight away, but building up in little steps. And I like that a lot. That's good. That's really good.
It's like a bridge between both, or a ladder, you know. And you have, and each time you choose one that you believe right now, and when that one it's really like ingrained, you can go a little bit a step higher. And at the end, you will believe like, I'm super self-confident in any circumstances. But if you come from, I'm not self-confident at all, from I'm super self-confident in any circumstances, it's hard to believe for your brain. So it would ask a lot of deeper work. Other hacks that I use a lot is visualization and meditation. Okay. Visualization is just amazing. You visualize yourself doing what you think that you are scared to do. The brain doesn't make the difference between reality and visualization. So it really puts you in the mood to be able to do what you're not self-confident to do.
And how long do you think somebody should be visualizing for? Your volume is going in and out, and I don't want people to lose you.
My what?
Your volume is quite low.
Yeah.
See if I can put mine up.
Now?
Let's try. Okay, what are we doing? Okay, let's try. So how long do we need to visualize for per day?
Per day, 3 minutes is enough. People think that you have to spend a lot of time. No, there is a trick. Just visualize. Just when you wake up and just before falling asleep. It's when your subconscious mind is more receptive to those images.
So very practical to do. So literally before you step out of bed and as you get into bed before you go to sleep. So very practical. Okay, and you said your next one was meditation. A lot of people resist that because they think, I don't want to meditate. Like I resisted meditation for years, and now I love meditation. So how would you encourage? Because people who are already open to meditation will say, okay, fine, I can do that. But for people who are not open to meditation, who haven't tried it before, how would you encourage them to start a meditation practice? Because I think it is really, and it's the core of what we all need to do to just be able to function on a day-to-day basis. So
there is some tricks to start a meditation practice. Is start small. Yeah. Don't try to meditate half an hour first. Just few minutes. It's good. Piggyback this new habit with a habit that you already have. Like, for example, making your coffee, sitting just after having your coffee in your hand, for example. So you know that it's two things that come together. So it's very easy to take the habit. And I suggest guided meditation at the beginning. It's much easier. And there is an amazing app called Insight Timer.
Insight Timer?
Yeah, Insight Timer.
Okay.
There is like thousands and thousands of free meditation. Just incredible. So it's a really good way to start a practice.
Okay.
And just release your expectation. It's just like focus on your breath and release your expectation. Don't wait to feel something.
Okay, so those are some good tips. So you identify, I was writing notes. So as you build your self-confidence, or this is what you've done to build your self-confidence, identify your inner critic. So that voice that always tells you that you can't do something, or that voice that sort of brings in fear or judgment, or says, you know what, maybe you should wait until a better time, or you're not good enough. So identify your inner critic. I've also heard people say to give it a name, like Sour Sally, for example. So you give your inner critic a name, and when Sour Sally shows up, you counteract that with something positive, and you let the judgments go. You are accepting of the fact that it's there, so you don't try to, like, this is what I've been told, you don't try to, this is what I do. I hear the voice, I'm like, okay, you're here, and then I say, okay, what are you here to teach me? Right? Because there's always a lesson in that. And I try to just get still and understand what I am meant to learn from that. And the other day, for me, it was fear around not knowing enough about a particular topic, because a lot of times you do things for work or personal development, and the inner critic comes in, and it's like, okay, I'm going to stop doing everything. And I was like, no, I'm not going to stop. Let me understand what this voice is trying to tell me. And I took a step back, and I was like, oh, actually, I need to educate myself more on this particular topic. And that fear and that inner critical voice was greatly diminished. So there's a big lesson in that. And then listening to yourself talk. That's a big one, because we talk to ourselves all the time, right? It's like your brain doesn't switch off. So what I liked what you said after that was stop when you start saying things to yourself that you wouldn't say to your best friend. I like that. I think that's really important, because it teaches you to sort of love yourself as you would love others. And a lot of the times, as human beings, we tend to give more to others. Not everybody, but a lot of us tend to give more to others than we would to ourselves. So that's teaching us to be kind to ourselves. And the visualization, I love before and after sleep. Oh, sorry, before you get out of bed in the morning, and then right before you're going to sleep at night, guided meditations. But what I really liked with the guided meditations was piggybacking that off of something that you already do. So it's not like you're adding on an additional piece of work. If you're having a coffee in the morning, easy to pop a meditation on. Or if you're having a bath, like, I love meditations in the bath, because it's super relaxing. Like, and my daughter has gotten used to me, like, on days where I feel like, oh my God, this is like too much happening, I just need to take a time out. I put a really hot bath on, and I put like a nice towel behind my head, and I take all the lights off, and I put a very soothing meditation on. 10-15 minutes, I'm fine. It's the most, your stress levels come all the way down. So it's such a nice thing to do. Do you do anything else on top of that, or is that usually what you do?
Yes, there is another thing that really help is to get out of your comfort zone. And how I do that, it's setting for myself daily dare. So it's just like a little thing that stretch me a little bit, that I'm a little bit scared to do, but I will do it anyway. Okay. It can be a call, it can be trying something new, it can be anything. Just a little things that make you get out of your comfort zone every day, and it really, really help to build your self-confidence. Mm-hmm. I did a 30-day challenge of daily dare with some of my clients, and really we saw a transformation in the level of self-confidence. It's really incredible.
Okay. So do you think it's better to do that with a group or on your own?
You can do it alone. It's, I think, easier to do it with a group, because if you're in a group and everyone is sharing every day what they're going to do as a dare, because you choose it in the morning and say, okay, today I'm going to do that, it's much easier to follow through with that. Because if you're alone, it's easy to say, I don't feel like it.
Wow, I really like that. Okay, that's a nice way of boosting self-confidence there. A daily dare. That's different. Yeah. Anything else you do?
Celebrate your small steps and your small wins, like if they were huge, big celebration for small steps.
I'm writing that down. That's really good, because we tend to not do that, right? We tend to not do that a lot, because we undervalue just how crucial and important the process that we've just triumphed or succeeded at is, and we just say, oh well, on to the next thing, rather than stopping and saying, well, this was really amazing, and celebrating that, which then boosts your confidence, because you're giving yourself that attention and that confirmation that, listen, I've done something really difficult, I've progressed, I've become better from doing this process. Let me give myself some acknowledgement and praise. So, and it builds a little closer bit of a relationship with yourself. So I really like that. Now, looking at limiting beliefs, how does that impact self-confidence? And I'm assuming it's the same process with identifying your inner critic and going through silencing that voice or learning the lesson from that voice and then silencing it. How do you look at limiting beliefs and the impact that they have on self-confidence? And what are your suggestions to being able to identify limiting beliefs and eradicating them so that you can build your self-confidence?
This is an amazing topic that it could be a show at itself.
Yeah. I know. I
Our,
know.
limit, our limiting beliefs can basically destroy our self-confidence. So if you have the belief, for example, that you are not enough, that you are not worthy, that you're a failure, it's really hard or impossible to feel self-confident. It's so to identify your limiting beliefs, I could talk about hours about that. It's my favorite subject ever. So it's there is an easy way to do it. If you have a goal that you are not doing really anything to you are not taking action on your goal, or you want something in life but you don't have it, write down why I don't have this thing that I want to have in my life. Why I don't have the relationship that I want, but I don't have the job that I want, why my business is not working, whatever. And you write all the reasons why. And all those reasons why, they are all limiting beliefs.
Okay, so how do you get over them?
And how you get over them. So you have to know that limiting beliefs, they are just thoughts that we repeat to ourselves so much that we think they are true, and we take them as true. So there's a thing with our thought. We can choose to think whatever we want. It's the most mind-blowing thing. You can choose to think whatever you want. So when you overcome a limiting belief, work with one first. You see what is the most repetitive one. You decide what you want to think instead of this. And we do, like we did before, the thought ladder.
Yeah.
Like, I cannot believe that yet, but I can believe this. And you practice this thought over again. For a thought to become really an automatic thought, it's just practice, repetition. But now I have a trick for that. It's not like for the thought to become ingrained more quickly. You just choose the thought that you want to believe, and you pay attention every day. You write down the new thought that you want to believe in the morning, your new belief, and you pay attention this day to all the little proof that this new belief is true. For example, if you think I'm not lovable, and you want to believe at the end, I am lovable, you choose, for example, there is people who loves me. And this day, you're gonna watch around you and see which evidence of that you have. Like, someone smiled to me, I had a nice conversation with a friend, my coworker told me that I was really helpful, these kind of things. And you write them down in your phone or in a notebook, and you read it. You read all those little evidence at night, just before sleeping, because your subconscious will take in all in. And it will really, really help to change your limiting belief to much more empowering belief.
You know what just came to my mind when you were saying that? Because that limiting beliefs ties into your self-confidence and the affirmations, which we said you prefer not to use affirmations, but structuring the thoughts or the sentence into, realistic statements is almost like writing a letter to yourself to sort of say, yeah, I think I might do that, because, the brain is very open to suggestions, and doing that before you sleep. For example, my letter to myself may be something around what I need myself to believe in a realistic way for where I am, to help me take that next step forward for that particular goal that I'm working on. So if I wrote a letter to myself that addressed my self-confidence and things that I liked about myself and loved about myself, not only me, but things that other people as well value and cherish and appreciate about myself. And I read that letter in the morning and in the evening. That's such a nice way to start and end the day. whilst also programming your brain to believe those thoughts so that you then start to show up in that particular manner. So that's really, really important. And then going back to resilience, also helps you to become more resilient when things become more challenging, because you can go back and look at how you've, progressed throughout that particular journey. So really, really good.
It's
So
amazing I did a letter. Yeah.
I'm going to do it. So a couple more questions. So how do we set up our environments to help us to become more self-confident and more resilient? So some people may be living in homes where um, they don't necessarily have a very supportive family or partners, and that, that's hugely damaging to self-confidence and resilience. So what are some of the things that we can do to support ourselves to become, more self-confident, happier, more resilient?
There is three questions that I love to ask my clients when we want to adapt their environment to support their self-confidence is, where do you feel the most confident? With who and why?
Mm.
So when you have those three questions, the answer of those three questions, it's easier to adapt your environment to support your self-confidence. And obviously, being surrounded by supportive people, it's just like the most important things. And if you don't have them in your close family or friends, just look for them on internet. Be part of groups on internet. You can know with all this life online life that we have, it's very easy to find support, and you can even listen to podcasts every day, and your brain will think that the person talking in the podcast is your friend, and you will be like supported by all this positive talk that we have. And it's really important to really curate the people that you have around, but not only the people that you have around. It's really important to have a clean environment, because clean environment, clean house is a clean mind too, and to get out of your comfort zone, because we are in automatic pilot most of the time. And when you go to work, for example, if you take another route to go there, it will just like help your brain to get out of your comfort zone and see that you are still alive when you go out of your comfort zone, and it will grow your confidence.
So I love what you said, because I know there are some people who, I work with, and you can definitely see the impact that the pandemic has had on their confidence, with like a loss of jobs or having to move back in with family, experiencing death and things like that. And, human beings, we're relatively fragile sometimes. Life becomes a bit challenging. Um, and sometimes over a long period of time, you may think, oh, well, life is, beating me down, and I'm in an environment where I can't, support myself. But actually, there are so many Facebook groups and Instagram, what's the word, influencers that have their own groups, or even Clubhouse now, where I know there are lots of support groups on Clubhouse, where you can find your own tribe, and you can, link up with people who have the same mission, or who want to love and support you. So I think that's a beautiful thing that you said, because it's within reach for everyone. There are no barriers there. And what I also loved was keeping your environment clean. So when I get stressed, I clean. I wake up in the morning, like I have this routine, which I don't know, like cleaning helps me to think as well. So like I wake up in the morning, I have a cup of coffee, I set Vivi up for the day, and then I clean my entire flat, vacuum, wipe the walls down, clean, blitz, clean. And when I'm finished, I'm like, whew, okay, now I can think. And then in the middle of the day, after she's finished her lessons, and there are things everywhere, we have a midday cleanup as well. And then before bed, and it's sort of like, for me, it's a cleansing process. I help to, as I'm cleaning and I'm going through those motions, and I'm physically releasing stress and just allow my body to move and disperse energy. But I really believe that you also allow the energy to flow beautifully. So where there's clutter and junk, and especially if you're in a family home where there's stuff everywhere and everybody has their stuff, I routinely detox and declutter my home. So I may wake up on one particular morning and just feel like I need to declutter the entire house. And as soon as I get the black bin bags out, Vivian goes, "Mommy, are we decluttering today?" And I'm like, "Yes." And I bring out I love smudging. So I bring out my Palo Santo or my white sage, where I put my incense sticks on. I open all the windows. She probably thinks I'm a bit nuts because I put her in her like a very fluffy, warm robe. I open the windows and I just blitz the entire house, but the energy after, I mean, it is so freeing. And sometimes, people don't realize that we have everything that we need to support ourselves to allow the energy to flow beautifully. And then in that, we can then see clearly what that next best thing is. But if there's stuff everywhere and like, you're holding on to stuff and things are not organized, it feels too much. So there's a direct correlation with physical space and how you feel about yourself. And then adding on the podcast, I think is really, really beneficial because anybody could listen to a podcast. And you said we can choose the thoughts that we allow in, and we can choose the thoughts that we think. And also to add on to that, it's also like we can also look at what we are exposing ourselves to. What are we bringing into our internal environment externally that doesn't serve us? So I find that, cutting out, I'm like, my father gets on me all the time because he's like, "Oh, Lenora, you really should watch the news. You are a human. You are part of this planet, aren't you?" And I'm like, "Yes, I am." I just find that, like, especially for sensitive people, sometimes, especially with what's going on, you watch the news and it's like, it's like so dreary. And I just think, oh God, like, and that impacts confidence massively because you think, well, I have no control over what's going on. I'm not in the government. I don't create policy and procedure. I can't control anything. Why bother? And then you just feel so deflated. So I have made a conscious decision, like, not to watch the news. If there's something important, then I'll find out about it. And people think, oh, that's, so ignorant. But for me, I function fine, like nothing's happened where I'm like, okay, I should have known that. So it's like also being aware of what you bring, what you can cope with, what you can deal with, and being okay with that. Because some people may think, well, how do you not, like, why? And people may judge, and I'm fine with that. Like, I know it doesn't work for me, so I'm not going to do it irrespective of what people think. I'm being brave enough to say, this is what doesn't work for me, and this is how I'm going to live my life, irrespective of what other people think, and giving yourself that respect, because at the end of the day, you are with you 24/7, and you have to support yourself. So I really like that. I really, anything to add on to that? Because I see you like nodding and smiling.
I made the same decision than you. I don't watch the news.
Fantastic.
And I have exactly the same idea. It's like if something really important happened, I would know it for sure.
Well,
So there is a few years that I'm not watching the news. And I think that in the situation that the world is right now, it's a really, really good decision, or at least to limit the time that you spend on the news and to counter it with positive news and positive things that you listen to. Very important what you feed your mind with. So yeah, I really totally agree with you on that.
Yeah, and there's actually, I think there was a guy who started a positive news channel, because we tend to gravitate towards negative things. It's just like, ooh, it gives you some sort of an adrenaline buzz in a weird way. But there was this guy who, because my cousin actually, Nicole, she's a parenting coach, and she doesn't allow her children to watch the news at all. And I was like, that's a bit drastic. But then when you realize, even the children's news, but then when you realize just the underlying fear that it drudges up in kids, and why kids are experiencing mental health problems from such young ages, they don't need to watch regular news, but they can watch positive news, and that it makes you feel so empowered. Okay, so last question. So how does our relationship to ourselves impact self-confidence? So I feel like sometimes I say I will do things and I don't. And so when I want to commit to something new, subconsciously, I don't have that trust in myself because I haven't stuck with what I was going to say. So for me now, if I say I'm going to do something, I do it. No matter how inconveniencing it is to myself, I do it because when I speak it, it has to happen. So now I'm more conscious of what I say to myself and to anybody. So how do we build that relationship with ourselves so that we become more self-confident individuals?
Yeah, I totally agree with what you say. When we keep promises to ourselves, it's really an amazing way to build our self-confidence. And you can start with small things. And I have a thing that I always do. It's each month, at the beginning of the month, I choose a 21-day or a 30-day challenge that I just do for myself, not for anybody else. And right now I'm doing a 21-day sunrise challenge. So I documented.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Are you in Spain right now?
Yeah.
So
I am in Spain.
I love that. Okay, tell us about that challenge. I saw it, I was like, oh, I wish I had sons that's like that.
No, what happened is that I'm moving home and my new home is not ready. So I'm staying at some friend's home, and they have an amazing view on the sunrise, on the sea and the sunrise. And when I arrive here, I say, I know my challenge for this month. I'm going to wake up every morning to watch the sunrise, and I want to take a picture and post it on Instagram so people that they are waking up in a city which is cold and gray, they can enjoy it with me. And the other day, I think I can go a step further. I can do a live on Instagram and we watch it all together. And I did that. And there were people from all over the world watching it with me. It was so cool because they were telling me, oh no, here where we are, we cannot see the sunrise and it's all gray and it's raining. And so it's just so amazing. So, and the fact that even if I'm tired in the morning, I'm committed. This is the thing. It's to be committed. Yeah. I'm committed to do it, to keep my promise to myself. I don't let my brain think about it. It's not, I plan before. When you plan before, you plan with your prefrontal cortex. And your prefrontal cortex, because if you don't plan ahead, the problem is that the one that is managing your life is your primitive brain, and your primitive brain just wants instant gratification. So instant gratification will be stay in bed. I plan ahead with my prefrontal cortex. I don't have, when my primitive brain says, oh, but maybe we are tired, then we stay in bed. I say, no, it's something that I'm committed to, and I do it for myself, and that's it. So the relationship with yourself is super important. Keeping promises every day, small promises, things that don't start with a huge thing. Start with something small that you can do and you enjoy doing. So, and it will build up the self-confidence and self-trust. There's one thing that I want to say about the relationship that we have with ourselves is that we need to know very intimately ourselves. And everyone will answer, yeah, but I know myself. I live 24/7 with myself. But familiarity is not self-knowledge. It's two different things.
Say that again.
Familiarity is not self-knowledge. It's two different things.
That's so deep. That's good. Okay, expand on that. Wow, I love that. I love that.
So because we spend all day with us, we think that we know ourselves, but do we really know our strengths, our flaws? Do we really know our biggest dream? Do we let ourselves dream big? Do we really know or what we are good at, or skills? Do we really know the people that we love to be with? Which kind of person? What are our core values? This is super important. What are our core values? What are our priorities in life? There's a lot of questions that you can ask yourself and write the answer down, because if you do it in your head, we have too many thoughts per day in our head. Take a piece of paper and a pen and answer all those questions.
Do you have a copy of that you use with your clients? Okay, would you, if you don't charge for that, I'd love you to share that with the audience, because I think that,
of course not. I will give it to you.
Yeah, because I think that's like, when you said that, I was like, ooh, familiarity is not, what, say again? Familiarity is not.
It's not self-knowledge.
You just broke up.
Familiarity is not self-knowledge. It's not knowing ourselves. It's not because we are familiar with ourselves that we know ourselves.
Yes, and I think that's just,
for example, when you have a coworker that you see every day, but you never speak anything deep with him, you think that you know him, but you don't know this person. You don't know what is his biggest dream. You don't know what are his core value. So you are familiar with this person, but you don't really know this person. And it's okay if it's a coworker, but it's not okay at all if it's you.
Yeah, I think from everything that you said today, that is the crux. I think that's the meat on the bone, because if we don't know that, that's it. That's it right there. Because if we don't know ourselves intimately, we don't know what we stand for. The values are so important. So I had a life coach. Her name is Kat, and I love her to bits. She's so amazing. And she said, "We're gonna look at what your values are." And I'm like, "My values? Is it freedom? Is it happiness? Is it family? Is it adventure? Is it travel? Is it money?" And when you look at what, and I was surprised at what I came back with. When you look at what your values are, you're then able to identify with, am I making the choices that align with the values that I resonate with to give me the lifestyle that I want so I can experience life on earth as I desire to? And I wasn't making choices in line with my values. And it was like a good wake up call for me, because I said, "Oh, Lenore, I think that I'm living life on my terms." And then when I did that exercise, I was like, "Actually, no, you're not. You're not living life on your terms at all." And it's time for you to and I think a lot of us shy away from that, Val, because we think there's a resistance there to get to. I think there's a lot of resistance with people, especially people who find it hard to meditate, because you get this closeness to yourself that it feels too much. It feels like too much work. Like, I don't know how to do that next step. But when you know what your values are, and you decide to live a life that is in line of those values. So for me, I know that I need to be leaving England soon and going to like Bali or somewhere on an island on a beach, because that's what I align with. I start to make choices that support that. And if it ever feels too difficult, because I think, oh my goodness, like, how am I going to relocate and like, work and business and everything like that? Um, when I still myself and meditate and get quiet, the next step always comes. So having sort of like, because we have that inner knowledge and that inner knowing, and I always look at myself like, there's me, Leonora, but then there's also like the bigger me, call her Nora, that guide that is sort of, can see the outside and can see the whole picture, that still quiet voice that it just knows what you need to do. And so having that practice where, I love what you said so much, allowing yourself to have that self-knowledge, get quiet, write those questions down, see where things are not matching up, and not feeling overwhelmed with the process, but trusting yourself that the next best step will unfold. Because once you start that journey, it's just taking that next step. And then how much does your self-confidence grow from that? That's like your relationship with yourself becomes so strong that you then start to make decisions that support yourself, that supports you to show up as your best version of yourself. I just love that, Val. That was just so beautiful.
I will send you the list of the question, because there is some other more like why do I behave and I react a certain way. What are my short term? What are my long term? I will send you the list.
Thank you. And I hope you guys listening, I hope you take the time to do it, because I certainly will be doing it. Because when you look at life, like, we don't have like hundreds of years on this planet, do we? We only have a set amount of time. And why not make it the most amazing experience possible? Why not just know yourself so well that, on your last day, I mean, we don't know when it is, but you live every day like, this is going to be like, 'cause my mom was speaking to me yesterday, and she said, Lenora, I'm not getting any younger, every day I have to just take time to appreciate life. She goes, enjoy every single day. You want to eat something, go and eat it and enjoy it. You want to do something, go and spend money on yourself and just make sure you are happy. Do what your heart desires and make sure you get the most out of this life, because we don't know if you're going to get a second chance on this. And that resonated so deeply. And it made me feel more confident to actually go for what because a lot of us, we think, oh, I can't have that, or I can't do that. And then it knocks your self-confidence back, doesn't it? But if you look at life like, I'm going to show up every day for myself and do what I'm passionate about, do what I love to do what makes me feel good, then, I mean, that's fantastic. So anything else to add, Val? I've actually really enjoyed this interview with you.
It's a really great conversation. Yeah, I think that really knowing ourselves, it really helps to have also a better relationship with others. It's super important. So yeah, it's the key to self-confidence, to self-trust, to have better relationships, to live a better life, to
This has
be
been
happier.
so amazing. I absolutely love this conversation. So, Val, where can people connect with you on social media? Do you have a podcast? Are you on Clubhouse? Where can people reach out to connect with you?
So I am on Clubhouse and I am hosting a room today about imposter syndrome. So I am on Clubhouse. Yeah, I am on Clubhouse. I am at Valérie Mege, so my full name.
Mm-hmm.
I am on Instagram. That is my main platform on Instagram, and my handle is Val Ibiza because I live in Ibiza in Spain. So Val, VAL Ibiza, all together. So if you want to see the sunrise, to watch the sunrise with me sometimes, just connect with me there. I give lots of tips and tools about mindset and self-confidence. And I also have a group, a Facebook group, that it's an amazing community if you want to have a strong mindset and to build a solid self-confidence. And it's called the Mindset and Self-Confidence Hub. And you are all very welcome to join me there. We are a little community, but really supportive one. If you don't have people that support you around you, come and join my community. We are super supportive. And I do training inside. I do free coaching too. And each week there is a different topic, and I let you choose the topic each week. It's the people in the group who choose the topic.
I love this. I'm going to share all of this. This has been an absolute pleasure. So guys, there's so many light bulb moments and gold nuggets that, I mean, this is a transformational self-confidence. People might think, but we've really tapped into it. And you apply these nuggets. It's life-changing. It's transformational. So Val, thank you so much for sharing. I will definitely be sharing on social media, and maybe I might reach out to you on Clubhouse. I've gotten kind of addicted to Clubhouse. I've had to sort of like take a big step back. But I
am really managing my time there because it can be very, very addictive. So I really control the time.
Yeah, on the hour, every day. And it's just like, whoo. But I'll definitely be joining in the Sunrise Challenge because that's beautiful. So thank you so much. It's been a pleasure having you, and we will link up soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you for having me. Bye.